Hello varlets. In this video we're going to go through some of the most annoying things teammates can do during a mission. I thought to myself, there must be a reason why they're like this. Either they are just simply ignorant and have main hero syndrome, in which case I curse them to always roll plus experience and curio drop chance on their curios. On the other hand, they might be genuinely unaware their actions are negatively affecting the experience of the team and makes the game less enjoyable or more difficult than it has to be. So while this video is going to be a little bit of a rant, it also serves to make players aware of the things they might not know they are doing that is at best annoying and at worst damaging the team and lowering mission success. That being said, feel free to use the comment section of this video as a place to vent out your frustrations. Know that you're not alone in having to deal with these annoyances. So, here we go. Number 1. Not picking up materials. Why? Why do you not pick up materials that you see on your way throughout a map? Are you above opening chests and getting resources that this peasant work should be left to your team? By deciding to leave materials behind, you actively make the end of mission rewards worse, since the total amount of resources you get is lower than if you decided to dig all over the place and loot everything. Furthermore, you now force your team to keep having to double check areas because you keep leaving materials behind, which slows them down. Now, on the other hand, if you think materials are individual based, that is, only the person who picks them up gets them, rest assured that the materials are shared with everyone on the team. The more you loot, the better for everyone, including yourself. So please loot. Number 2. Rushing ahead of your team. There really is no prizes for guessing that this is up on this list. Players that don't pick up materials also tend to be the same people that like to rush ahead of the team. While I can understand how some players want to speedrun a map, even if it's just on malice, just to get it over with, you make the experience for everyone else a slog because range adds that are often left behind will tend to group up trying to chase you, and as the team tries to catch up, they are faced with a wall of shooters and gunners. In addition to this, you leave the team with one less player to hold back hordes and elites, and also with one less person to do their job for the team. And you know what's the funny part in trying to speedrun and leaving a team behind? Airlocks and elevators. Airlocks and elevators place a hard stop on how quickly you can complete a map. So for maps that have them, even if you leave your team behind and rush ahead, you're going to be sitting in there waiting for everyone to catch up anyway. There's literally no benefit to rushing ahead, especially in quick play games. If you want to speedrun, do it with other players that want to do the same. Don't ruin the experience for other players just trying to enjoy the mission. Number 3. Not sticking with the team. You don't have to be rushing ahead to be out of position and away from your team. Aimlessly wandering off can be bad for a handful of reasons. Number 1 is, the AI director is designed to punish players who rush or get left behind. If you are alone, you better be very confident in your ability to deal with multiple disabler specials coming for you. Number 2, by lagging behind, your team on the front line suffers in more ways than one. First off, they are missing one person to hold the front line and cover one another. That alone can be bad if you're being swarmed and oppressed by the sheer number of adds attacking you in high-intensity missions. Secondly, now the front line is missing a job that needs to be covered, whether that's horde breaker or shooter management or elite and special killing. If you aren't there to do this, your team is going to have to cover this to the best of their ability while doing their own job. Imagine your poor Purgator Psyker now needs to kill shooters with brain bursts while keeping the horde back, while also being on the lookout for specials because the vet with the last gun decided to split away and do his own thing. On top of this, your team is actually weaker in terms of defense because coherency toughness regeneration is dependent on the number of teammates in coherency. Being too far away from the team doesn't just mean you aren't passively regenerating toughness without your feats kicking in, but it also means your team has a lower level of coherency toughness regeneration too. Add to that the fact that they are also missing out on your coherency bonuses, the team is overall weaker than if you are all together. I think I've talked about not sticking with the team in 2 other videos already, and it's starting to sound pretty repetitive as I write this. I do hope that this will be the last video I talk about sticking with the team as a part of a rant or a piece of advice. Moving on. Number 4. Not tagging enemies. Darktide is a game of effective decision making mixed in with combat skill. Information is therefore a very valuable resource that can change the decisions you make, which can make or break a game. Indirectly, this means tagging, which highlights priority targets, gives you and your team invaluable information to decide what actions they should make. If you ping a sniper in the distance, you let your psychers and vets know that there's a high priority target that needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. Tagging enemies also highlights them in a red outline that can be seen through walls. You literally have wall hacks against priority enemies, letting you track their movements and time your attacks. Tagging monsters also helps your team keep track of it, allowing them to work on covering their positions as they adjust to the monster's position while dealing with adds. Please use this tool. It's free and really benefits anyone who has a job to take down elites and specials. Now, in contrast to this, number 5 is binding tag to left click. You remember when I said that information is an invaluable resource? Well, spamming tag on enemies and rapidly changing what you are tagging offers absolutely no useful information other than you being an annoying teammate spamming the tagging noise. Part of the point of tagging is to keep track of the priority target and then adjust what you need to do given what you know now. Binding your tag to left click makes it so you spam tag, which if you are facing elites in front of you, tags them, and so alerts your team that you are fighting elites. This is fine, if not annoying. The problem is, if you tag a bomber or a sniper in the distance, and then turn to face a couple of maulers for example, you lose the tag on the bomber or sniper, which was very valuable information for your team. Now your team is aware that you're fighting maulers in front of you, but have lost the whereabouts of the bombers or snipers. Please, make it a point to unbind your tagging from left click and use it intelligently for the benefit of you and your team. Number 6. Not turning off your flashlight. For the love of the God Emperor, please turn off your flashlight when you don't need it. Why? Because flashlights can alert demon hosts, just like the witch in Left 4 Dead. Every time I hear a demon host, I type to my team to please turn off their flashlights because it can wake the demon host, and I'm ignored almost every time. So, as you can imagine, I have been in games that have been literally thrown away simply because these players couldn't be bothered to turn off their flashlights. Such a simple thing to do, and yet can really negatively impact the experience of the game and build unnecessary frustration. If it's not a power outage, please turn off your flashlights, at least when you're around a demon host. Number 7. Being an ammo goblin. I must say, as a Psyker main, this really isn't a problem I face. However, on the occasions I do play my other classes, sometimes there will be that one person whose sole mission the entire time is to vacuum up all the ammo available throughout a map, like doing this is part of a penance. Bonus points if this player also skips picking up materials and only goes for ammo. While ammo is fairly abundant, it is also technically a limited resource for your team. Imagine if your vet ran out of ammo to deal with shooters or gunners, or if he was using a bolter to deal with crushers and bulwarks, or if your preacher no longer had ammo for their bolter or flamer. Your team now has jobs which can no longer be effectively covered by the players designed for it. So be mindful of your team's ammo count. Make sure the members who need to do their job are able to if you want a smooth game. Number 8. Never using medpacks or ammo boxes. At all. I'm sure this habit comes from playing tons of other games where we hoard potions and buffs thinking, I'm gonna save this for a time when it really matters, but then we ultimately never end up using it at all, and we just hold on to it for the rest of the game until we stop playing. Yeah, so I can imagine where this behavior stems from. I have been on teams that hold on to an ammo box or a medpack from the start of a mission, only to throw it out after the finale, when there were some close calls in between where deploying it would have been very useful. Now I must say, the habit of holding on to an ammo or medpack is a little harder to completely categorize as being annoying because some people genuinely don't know when to deploy these resources to help the team. They might be worried about being caught wasteful and then feel like a burden to the team for deploying these items at the wrong time. And so they end up holding on to them until the situation becomes really bad, by which time it's usually too late. A small tip for knowing when to deploy ammo and medpacks. If using it will help your team move to the next Medicaid checkpoint, then use it. It's well worth doing that already. Here's one specifically for medpacks. You can deploy it on down teammates, and the medpack will keep healing their red HP, effectively making them tankier and giving you more time to save them while under pressure. This is especially excellent for Ogryns who can revive teammates without being interrupted. Number 9. Not using your utility. With the exception of Psykers, every class's grenade skill has some good use to it, whether it's an AoE stagger with the vet's frag grenade, an AoE stun with a zealot's stun grenade, or emergency long-range burst and AoE stagger for the Ogryns box, depending on how you build it. Similar to the previous point of saving medpacks and ammo boxes, some players just have a need to never use their ability because they think there might be an even more dire situation later that requires them to throw out all the utility at once. Now, apart from the Psyker's ability, all of these skills have some sort of capability for team support. If it helps give your teammate just 2 or 3 seconds of breathing room, that might be enough for them to get into a better position, let their stamina recover or the space to quell peril. You don't need to wait for a teammate to go down before deciding that now is a good time to use your utility. Using it earlier might have even stopped them from going down in the first place. For these classes, utility creates space, and space allows for recovery. A slight sidetrack here, immensely strong utility is also why the trauma staff is so good. Every time you cast it, everything in and around the blast zone gets staggered or knocked down. It's like spamming frag grenades throughout the whole mission. Number 10. Of everything on this list, this one is the one that frustrates me the most, and that is not doing the objective. The gameplay in the background is the most recent example of this. Everything was going fine, if a little hectic at times, but we managed to make it to the finale in good shape. This was a high-intensity damnation on Silo Cluster. Then, 2 of our teammates decided that killing all the heretics was far more important than the objective, and so they split off into a corner and fought there for the whole event. Without support or cover to do the objective, we eventually lost the mission. That was 30 minutes of my time just thrown out the window for absolutely no reason. And that's why this is so frustrating. To come so far into a game, spend 25 to 30 minutes only to lollygag and tunnel vision at the finale, not bothering to help with the objective or even just cover the teammates who are trying to complete it. Even after everything else went so smoothly. I'm convinced these people have been playing missions where they just let their teammates do everything and they've just focused on killing because they think that's all they need to do to be helpful. I'm also convinced that this is made worse by speedrunners. If you frequently have speedrunners in your game who will rush towards the objective and then complete them like their life depends on it, these other players might have just decided that their team will always have someone to run the objectives so they don't need to. This then becomes a habit since because they don't do anything, the other teammates who want the mission to end or progress will end up doing it, thereby confirming their assumption and reinforcing this habit. Please do the objective so the mission can progress and come to its conclusion. I know you are probably waiting for the endless horde mode like Chaos Waves, but we've got to give Fat Shark some time before that will even appear in Darktide. Until then, don't burden the team with your indifference and inaction. Well, that was a little bit of a rant mixed in with a little bit of advice. Hopefully you... Hey! What are you doing? Stop! You're not supposed to be here yet.
Are you complaining? That is most inefficient.
Well, of course I'm complaining. I just finished a video on things that annoy players and you...
Silence! I will have silence.
Fine. I suppose you're here to do the outro?
Yes.
Alright, you can do it. But only if you do it like I've been doing.
Excellent. Hadron here. Pay attention. I approve this course. I am certain you'll be back. Varlets.